All right. Welcome again for another episode of Secrets in the Saddle, All Things Cycling with your host, Sylvie and Coach Sylvie. So today we're going to be talking about stamina versus endurance. Do you have better stamina or do you have better endurance? Or do you have better endurance or do you have better stamina? What does all mean? And do you have both of them? Can you easily, effectively engage in having stamina and endurance together? Because sometimes we have athletes who are better at stamina, which is, I would like to equate stamina to like a crit race. And then endurance would be like a road race or an endurance athlete. And I'm sure you can make those distinctions. So let's dive in because, here's the official description of what is stamina. So sustained, the capacity to sustain an exercise for extended period of time. Now, extended period of time, sometimes I was like, oh, does that mean like an hour? I would say that means like a good minute to 3 minutes, like a full out freaking sprint, like track racers, like hardcore stamina. And then, when stamina, here's the description of stamina, is the mental and physical ability to sustain an activity for a long period of time. So it's like the process of delivery of energy to the body. So when I think about that, I think about all out sprints, like crits, like, something can sustain for, 15 seconds to about 3 minutes. So you know how you do like those 3 minutes interval, 3 minute time trial test to see how fast it can go. So that's like stamina. And then we got endurance. So your body's physical capacity to sustain an exercise for an extended. So it's like an extended. So we're talking like 120-kilometer road race. We're talking about like Tour de France, endurance-based type stuff. So here are some things. Let's just talk about endurance and ways to build endurance. So it's also, this is like, the process and delivery of oxygen to our bodies. So we need oxygen for a long period of time. Oxygen, your muscles need oxygen to function. And where stamina, you need full out fuel, like fat for energy, because of the need for like high intensity acceleration. So let's think about 5 ways to build your endurance. The first one is fueling. Like, people think it's all about the training. And if you'll notice that I am going to talk all about food, recovery, and sleep before I even mention training. So that is an indicator that if you're doing the reverse, like you're all about the training and not about the energy and the fuel you're putting in your body, then there's a disconnect as to what's going on, right? So first one, think about your fuel. To really have good endurance, you need to take the most of your internal reserves. This is the glycogen to the muscles, the liver, glucose to the bloodstream, and triglycerides, which fat stored in the muscles, and all the important bigger storage of body fat. So, which, is those fuel tanks is the most responsible for keeping you riding. So, right, long endurance, like you're talking like 6 hours. What are you going to do to fuel yourself to be at the optimum peak performance, to be able to sustain yourself for 6 hours? Let's just say 3 hours could be your endurance ride. But you need to be fueling yourself so that you got sustained energy, right? So fuel, what are you eating? What are you eating? Is it the right saying? Like, is it giving you the energy you need? Now, number 2 is increase your carbohydrate intake. Now, a lot of people think that taking protein shake is the way to go. And let's just say protein is left for recovery. Okay. Leave it out. It's not to be taken beforehand. It's not to be taken during or mixed with carbohydrates. Yes, it's okay. But it's a very slow release energy source. And when you're in endurance, you might use a little bit of that, but stamina, definitely not. You need like immediate energy. And protein is not it. So you leave it for afterwards for the recovery phase, right? So you can talk about, you know, carb loading, you know, that's an in-out thing. I really will talk more about number 3, which eat an early pre-ride breakfast. Now, if we're talking about endurance ride, like say you're going out for a century, or even like, you know, a 60K road ride or race. And I have always, in race situations, started eating earlier so that I get the optimum glycogen stores stocked up so that I have maximal energy for my endurance ride. And if you go into Ray Friel's or Joe Friel's cycling training Bible, it talks about the consumption of carbs ahead of time and being able to consume a lot before you start. So that means starting earlier. And when I used to race, I would start eating breakfast or pre-race meal like 4 hours ahead of time. But there was a schedule. First meal, you know, and then like 4 hours, then another at 3, then another at 1, and then half an hour beforehand. But also in these 4 hours, you're waking up, you're getting ready, you're packing, you're going to the race area, you're starting to warm up. So there's like a plan to it, you know, and in that time, you're consuming and you're digesting and you're storing it up for the event. So pre-ride breakfast. And now what I do is that I have now migrated to something else. I use a pre-event meal replacement shake that I make into a robust meal, about 500 calories. And I will drink that beforehand, and then I'll have something after, and I'll definitely carry things with me. And so I found that that has better served me now that I don't have to plan that 200 calorie meal, that another 200 calorie meal, or 300, 200, 100, 100 to make up like 800 calories. And so that's just like really think about what you're eating before you start. Now, number 4, stay topped up throughout your ride. And that goes without saying, like electrolytes and water, 2 different bottles. Make sure you have electrolytes in there. And the ones that I use are full of minerals that help my body actually absorb the water. That's really important, because if you're hydrating, you're just drinking water and it's like sloshing around, you know, that's not absorbing, right? Because it's just sitting in your stomach. So have a good electrolyte that has minerals in it that help the water absorb into your system. Now, for me, we've got the pre-breakfast taken care of. Now, what are you going to bring on the ride? And I always like have 100 calories for every 45 minutes to an hour. Now, if you're out for a 4-hour ride, that's 4 snacks plus 1 or 2 extras just in case. You know, because your friend might need something, you might get flats, you might be out there longer, you might get lost. Whatever the case, bring more. More is better than less. You know, you do not want to run out of food on the ride or the race for that matter, even if there is a food zone. Train your body for endurance. See, number 5, that's the last one. Train your body. It's like, what are you doing beforehand to get yourself ready? And so this is another thing. Mark out your goals and start your training plan leading back. So, what are you doing with the weeks, months leading up to your endurance ride? If it's an event, like if you're going out and say, okay, well, even like a century, that's an event. You don't want to just say, hey, this weekend, I think I'm going to ride for 180K and I've never done over 60. That might be a bad idea. So make sure that you gradually build your body up. And sometimes, that might take a full season. It might take a year. If you're just a beginner, you're going to start with 20, then move to 40, then 60. And maybe that's the end of your season. And then you're going to train a little bit through the winter so that you can start at 40, 60, or go to 60, 80, 100, 120. So there are things that you can do smartly so that you don't wreck your body to move to build your endurance. And then always think about your nutrition. And I'm going to add a bonus of sleep and recovery. Make sure you're always putting in your rest days. Those are so important. I cannot even tell you. You want me to refer out to all these other podcast episodes that I've done on rest, recovery, sleep, nutrition, blah. So, all right. And that will lead into also pick the right people to ride with. Okay. Don't always go out with the fast guys. That's going to make you fitter, but in the long run, it's not going to really I would say do those long fast rides like maybe twice a month. Okay. Like really the ones that really bring you out of your comfort zone. That is going to help you get fitter. The other ones you have like maybe a really hard, hill interval you do, and then your endurance ride is like your zone 2 with your friends, with your groups, things like that. Okay, so that leads us into stamina. How are we going to do stamina? Okay, so stamina, energy, you need immediate energy, where endurance, you're like got energy over a long period of time. You can sustain that for, extended periods. This is like a shorter, longer period, right? So number 1, do short interval workouts. So that's your 15, 45, 30, 30, 45, 15, those types of workouts. So you build up your interval, your intensity, the stamina to go harder, longer on those little short intervals. Okay. So that, creates adaptive skeletal muscles that promote increased stamina. How do you like that? Okay, number 2, do some longer rides. So of course, within all those short, intense rides, we're going to talk about the 80-20 rule, 80% endurance, 20% intensity. So when I was talking about short interval rides, that's your 20%. So if you're going out, say for, say you're like doing 10 hours a week of cycling, 2 hours should be dedicated to those intervals and hill repeats. And then the rest is all endurance based. All right. I know it's not the other way around. Okay. Number 3, start small, go big. So set those realistic goals, right? Start short interval workouts, short, moderately paced workouts, set weekly, monthly, yearly goals for yourself based on what you'd like to do. Maybe it's working your way towards racing. Maybe you just want to get crazy fast on short rides. Whatever it is, make sure that it makes sense to you so that you're not going from 0 to hero in like 2 months, because it ain't going to happen. Okay, lifting weights. This really helps with creating stamina. So many cyclists never set foot in the gym, but thinking about extra muscle mass, weight, you know, things that, you know, weigh yourself down. But imagine you could change your body mass, but not your body weight. And in a lot of instances, that happens. That will happen. You'll change fat to muscle. You'll create muscle mass, which weighs more than fat. And in essence, you are getting stronger. And that's something that I do every winter for over a decade. Once I started racing, I'll get into the gym and I would train strength with my cycling, and I'll come out leaner, faster, and stronger every season. So resistance training is highly effective for overloading the muscles if you want to do that, because think about overloading those muscles on those sprints, right? You have to tax them to get, you know, faster. If you could strengthen your muscles to do that, then that's a win-win. Strengthen those main cycling muscles, the hamstrings, quads, glutes, not to mention your upper body and your core. Core's huge for being able to hold on to your handlebars and not do all the rocking around, and just really allow the energy and strength from your legs to do all the work, not like all your upper body, but you do need it. Think about it. Just think about it next time you're on the bike and you're just like kind of flopping all over the place. Like, engage the abs. Think about what your shoulders are doing when you're climbing out of the saddle, when you're pulling on your handlebars, when you're sprinting, things like that. So building these muscles are key. And also women, ladies, you cannot rely on cycling to keep your overall fitness. It's cardio. For us, we have to think of strong bones and muscles, and therefore you must strength train. Have you ever seen those ladies who like cycle forever, but they're like got stringy arms and they have no muscle mass? And if they were to probably fall over, they would probably break something immediately. You want to think about that. Cardio is important. Strength training in the winter is really important to keep your muscles strong. Okay, number 5, make time for recovery. Gosh, do you see a trend? However, they did not talk about nutrition in this one. But so building stamina isn't all about what you do. Quite often, it's about what you don't do. Overtraining can stall your progress. So if you think going out there doing more is better, think again. So overtraining can stall your progress and lead to fatigue and injury, and then you get depressed because then you can't do anything. You ever hit that? Oh my gosh, I pulled a hamstring, a quad, something, I can't ride anymore on my feet, my ankles. And maybe it's because you've been doing too much. You know, your body's like, fucking slow down. You don't need to be doing Swift badges every freaking weekend. You know what I'm saying? Okay, another thing is stretching and mobility work, flexibility. You know, how many people have super tight hamstrings and can't even straighten their leg? You know how much energy you could be expelling, like extra power that is like bent up in those tight muscles that you could be using and applying? A lot. So make sure that, you know, you warm up your bike, do some stretching, walking lunges, you know, get into some yoga stretches. These are really important. Make sure that your back isn't tight, your hamstrings aren't tight, your glutes and calves, everything on your leg, basically. So with that, this one has 6. Don't forget about diet and sleep. So with stamina, you have 6 steps. With endurance, you have 5 plus my bonus. And so, yeah, number 6, don't forget diet, sleep. Eating a healthy diet and getting enough sleep are integral and important stamina improving are important for improving stamina, about everything. Fatigue off the bike will only lead to more fatigue on the bike. So if you're freaking tired, you're tired. So last Sunday, I had this interval ride, and it was an hour and 45. And I thought, like, I had psyched myself out before I even got on the bike. But when I got on the bike, the first set of intervals, I wasn't even close to where they wanted me to train. And I'm like, I was so tired. I called it a day after 45 minutes. I still had an hour, and I didn't feel guilty because, like, what was the point of me doing the rest of that workout when I couldn't even hit the numbers to start? It would have been pointless, right? And then it would fatigue me for the rest of this week. And why would I do that? I have a lot of things to do, training this week. And if I put myself out and overexert myself there, people might think, well, maybe you just push it through. No, I'm not into that. I respect my body way too much. And so with that, you also have to think about being nutrient poor diet. Thinking you got to eat like a bird and train like, I don't know, like a tiger, like a gazelle, I don't know. You have to match it. If you're not recovering properly and eating the right foods, like your protein shakes after recovery shakes and eating highly nutritious food, you are going to drain the nutrients and you're going to be tired. You're not going to sleep well. You're not going to have good workouts. And is that worth it? To, skip a couple meals, things like that? It's not. I see this all the time. What? It's expensive buying good food. Yeah. But if you want to do great things with your cycling, you have to eat well. And that means buying good food or buy some really good supplements that can do the job. You have to pick, right? So a nutrient poor diet won't provide the fuel you need to keep going. Be sure to get at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. I'm kind of around 7. And eat a diet rich in fresh fruit, veggies, whole grains, lean protein, healthy fats, and vegetable oils, nuts, and seeds. Did I catch everything? So with that, decide where you are. Or maybe you're some of both. But if you didn't notice the crossover in some of the things that are very similar, then I think you better listen to the podcast again or episodes, because other than the training differences, you got to think about food, recovery, and sleep. And with that, have an amazing training summer, and maybe go back and look at your program and look at what you have in the fridge and how you feel currently. Are you doing too much? Are you doing too little? When was the last time you had a really solid week of 5 meals a day and felt really full of energy? It's time to reassess. And don't let it go too long without doing that, because your body will ultimately stop you in your tracks and then you're going to be upset. So with that, have an amazing weekend. Happy Easter, everybody. Be good to your body and set yourself up for success this summer. Take care. And don't forget to put on your notifications, please. Love a 5-star review if you have questions. Putting out a review and putting 5 stars, 2 different things. So if you could do both, that would be amazing. Don't forget to put your notifications on and share with somebody who you think might be struggling in the department of proper fueling and nutrition, sleep and recovery, maybe even workouts. I don't know. But have an amazing day, guys. Take care. Oh, and I say thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you guys so much. We've hit over 50 episodes, over 5,000 downloads, and I'm just super excited. I can't tell you how much I absolutely love doing this podcast for you guys. So again, if you have any extraordinary people, send them my way. Love to hear from them. Love to put them on the podcast. Anyways, talk to you later. Bye.